conversation. We try to focus on three main things, and those would be mental health and our faith, and also uncomfortable or awkward conversations. So, on the show, you can expect to hear one, two, or even all three of those things. Those are the highlights, the things that we really try to spend a lot of time talking about. And the reason is because we feel like those types of conversations are lacking in our society. It's really easy to just hop on Facebook and join in a heated debate in a comment section, and that's where a lot of interaction is shifting to, unfortunately. We want to see the opposite of that. We want to see people engaging in a civil way, face to face, as much as COVID would allow. And we want to just be a model of that type of conversation. So that's kind of the gist of what the Threads podcast is. And I'll hand it back over to Jason for the minutia, details, or whatever else you wanted to call it.
I still haven't remembered what it is. I look in this camera, I can see a really, really terrible tan line in this video.
That's awesome.
But anyways, yeah, we would love for you to support the show by wearing Threads merch. If you go to threadspodcast.com/merch, you can get all the stuff from Twisted Bat. They're the one that does do our merch. And they do the design.
Does do.
Oh, okay. We don't make very much money on it at all, but we would love you just to support the show. Have a conversation with somebody that says, "Oh, Threads podcast, what's that about?" And you can just brag about us and be the thready that you are.
Right. We love our threadies.
We do. Also, reviews. Go to Apple Podcasts. We've been switching back and forth of how to get reviews through Apple. I don't know. It's just a nightmare.
It is.
They make it so damn difficult. But if you haven't reviewed the show yet and you do love it, please go to Apple Podcasts and review it on there. Or I think you can do it on CastBox too if you listen there. Of course, the best way to grow the show is if you share our live streams or our podcasts when we post. That would be great. And of course, we can't do any of it without our sponsor help. And BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. If you go to betterhelp.com, that's better, HELP/threads, you can get 10% off your first month. I mean, this is not a self-help or a crisis line. This is full therapy. You can text therapy. You can video therapy, all that stuff. And we really appreciate them believing in us to help other people out, especially during COVID. I'm sure they've been slammed.
I can only imagine
with everything. But yeah, go to betterhelp.com/threads for 10% off your first month, and they do offer financial assistance. So if you need that help, there shouldn't be any reason why you shouldn't get help from BetterHelp.
Yes. We also want to say a quick shout out to our friend and fellow podcaster Eric Allen. Eric is with the wow.
Yes, I'm not the only one.
Yeah. It's doing so well with that.
You were.
The top-rated MMA podcast as well as the Bearded Biz podcast. Now imagine that your brain is just so full of good ideas that it takes 2 podcasts to get them out.
Right.
This guy is serious about his podcasting. He is up early every morning. I think he takes 1 day off a week where he doesn't get up super early. But every other day, this guy he's getting up early and he's starting his hustle. Like, he is honestly an inspiration to me. I'm not one that is typically a hustler. I mean, I can be, but
when you're motivated properly.
Yes, exactly. It's got to be on my terms. But I am not the type of person that will just force myself to get out of bed early in the morning every morning. I just don't do that. So Eric has been an inspiration to me. I love hearing his passion and his voice on his show. I will admit I'm not as much a fan of the MMA portion, but I love the Bearded Biz, where he brings in people with all these creative business ideas and entrepreneurship and parenting. There's just so much good stuff on both shows. So if you are looking for a podcast that inspires us, be sure to check out the top-rated MMA podcast, as well as the Bearded Biz podcast. And as always, we will be sure to put those links in our show notes, website, all that good stuff. So,
yeah, you can. He's tagged in the Facebook post, so you can click on either of those to get to his show as well. So we're back for I don't want to call it regular. We got to rename that thing too. We're back to our regular episode, and we did back-to-back interviews. I hope you enjoyed them. We had Artisha Bolding last Friday, and who was before that? Do you remember?
It was the
Chris Gadzik?
therapist. Yeah.
No.
Gazdick.
Was it Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, what's that one guy that had the Christian name, or it was Christmas? Christmas.
Chris Misterick.
Chris Misterick. Yeah, there it is.
yeah.
I thought it was that guy. But so yeah, just kind of a update real quick from us. Definitely been a couple of weeks since we recorded. Had a good 4th of July. One of the connections I formed, and get your tissues out.
Oh boy. See, can we just bring up an uncomfortable conversation real quick?
Sure.
Jason refused to tell me this story. He's like, dude, I'm saving it for the podcast. It's like, what is our friendship? Just a show? Like, you save things
for download numbers?
Right? So I'm in full suspense over here. I have no idea what this story's about, and Jason's just gleaming about that.
Well, the funny thing is I think I'm far enough removed. Well, it's not funny. I'm kind of bummed I'm far enough removed because I probably won't be as emotional about it. But no, so I was I put a new bed in my yard. Ben didn't comment on it. Broke my heart.
It looks amazing.
Thank you. And
I'm just wondering how many dogs have stopped to take a tinkle on it.
Whatever. I have a dog too, so it's okay. It's all good. But anyway, so I was putting that bed. I put the bed in, and it's been like a month progress. So it's been hilarious. By the way, everyone is always looky-loo as they drive by, and then finally I get the edging in because I killed the grass.
Yeah.
It's been 6 weeks, so it's just been smoked. So it's just been funny, all the people commenting and giving me thumbs up. But anyways, so this lady passes in a car and then turns around and parks. I live kind of on a corner in the other street is like a dead end. So she kind of pulls over. Older lady, she gets out, and I'm standing there watering like with headphones and listening to some death metal, of course. So of course I only take one ear out.
Oh yeah.
Just and my AirPods stop playing, so that's perfect. Whatever. And she's like, I just want to tell you that your sign means so much to me. And of course now I take the other AirPods out. I'm like, okay, shit's getting real right here. I'm listening. So the sign I have in my yard is I just took the Lord's name in vain. Well, I said Jesus. You are not alone.
Whew. There it is.
You are not alone. And the sign is from
Signs of Kindness.
Gosh. Do some prep, Jason. I didn't write anything in here. Signs of Kindness, which we'll put a link into. But it says, I had a couple, and one of them got smoked from weather somehow, or somebody took it. I don't know. It was all messed up, or somebody threw it because they were mad. I don't know. Probably a Trump supporter, but so it says you are not alone, and she's like, I just want to let you know that sign has meant so much during COVID. She starts crying. She goes, oh man, I lost my husband a year ago, and your sign has made a difference. Like every time I drive by there, I say, yes, I am not alone. I'm getting misty.
Wow.
I didn't think I would. I was so touched. Megan's like, did you go hug her? I'm like, well, seriously? No, it's COVID. And then I'm second guessing because I didn't walk at least closer. We were probably maybe 25 feet away.
Oh man.
And she was just, crying, Ben. Oh. Tears. Find out she lives on my street. Never met her. She's about 8 doors down. Her name is Linda. And it wasn't, I don't know. It just hit me so hard. I'm like, she lost her husband, and she was just getting into the rhythm. And my mother-in-law lost, my father-in-law passed in 2013, so I know about the widow getting into her rhythm, and then COVID, and she was just bawling.
Wow.
So it so touched me, and I'm like, I was thinking about pulling this sign down. I'm like, I'm so glad I did it, but
right?
and it wasn't BS. Like, she literally said that I drove by that sign, and it reminded me, I am not alone. I'm not alone. I'm like, oh no, we have to adopt her.
Right?
Like,
no
I want to
kidding.
send her a basket. I know where she lives now. So I know Linda won't hear this, but it really meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to her. And I'm like, this is why we do the podcast. This is why we do these things because not to so we feel good. We're trying to impact other people. And
Absolutely.
the sign wasn't our gig, but we chose to put it out. We chose to partner with them. And so, yeah, it was freaking awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And
You just never know how many lives, threads, podcast, and our guests that we've had on.
yeah,
Like, there's so many little stories like that. And it's just incredible that we're able to take part in that.
I know. I felt incredibly bad for her, but then I felt hopeful that
Yeah.
this little sign and like people, when you're out there, those little things like a smile to somebody. I mean, I have the biggest resting bitch face. I know. Like I walk around, everyone must think I'm this biggest asshole, which I am a
Grump.
lot. But I mean, just crack a smile or a nod, or you just never know how that's going to change someone's day. And even
Yeah.
a sign in a yard that you see every day and you're like, whatever. It's like,
What is that?
you
Anyway?
believe in it, you support it, but it's like, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that was good.
that was huge.
Whew.
I know. I didn't think I would, but I looked at you and I was like, okay, who's cutting onions?
Yeah, no kidding. My allergies are acting up. Well, man.
You probably are like, oh.
And now I'm like, well, shit. I'm going to sound like a real dude. I won't even.
douche.
Something.
Well, you should have
Are
told.
we marking this explicit or?
I think you only have to mark it when you drop an F-bomb, so I'm
Okay.
not. You could have gone before me.
I could have, but I didn't. So mine is certainly not on the same level of saintliness as Jason's is. I had a moment where I was driving on the freeway and there was this U-Haul in the passing lane driving 55 miles an hour. And I am livid. I'm furious. I'm about 3 cars behind. I start flashing my high beam.
Oh no!
And then the 2 cars in front of me are able to get like into the right lane to pass her on the right. And then I just laid on the horn as I took my turn passing her on the right. And I looked over just to make eye contact. This lady was like in tears.
Oh no!
And I just felt so bad. And I just started making up all these stories in my head. Like maybe she left an awful abusive relationship. Like maybe she's super stressed. I don't know her story.
Maybe it was Linda.
Maybe. And I'm just thinking, I had no idea who was driving this U-Haul. I was just pissed that they were driving slow and they should know better, and just all these thoughts racing through my mind. And then as I'm passing and I make eye contact with her, as I'm honking my horn, being like, WTF are you doing? I see her face, and it was just like this moment of, oof. Take it easy, Ben. So I guess it's just to show my humanity. Like I'm not always this super kind, polite, thoughtful guy. I was really pissed. And then I felt terrible because I have no idea what this lady was going through. I mean, who knows what the situation could have been. But just to see a middle-aged woman driving a U-Haul alone, clearly emotional behind the wheel in the passing lane, like something was up. And I really I goobered that one up. So.
Well, what's nice is you didn't tell me that story either. Our stories tie together like threads because I'm talking about, make sure that you're thoughtful to people and like you never know what people are going through and you're honking at this gal. The worst part of that whole situation for me, if that happened, I can't fix it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Other than you like follow her when she
Yeah.
parks and say, I am so sorry. I am a
Yeah.
complete jerk.
I had that thought. I was approaching my exit, and it was just a split-second thought. It was like I could keep going and follow her.
But you don't know if she's going to, Florida.
Right. And then I was like, but then she might think I'm still mad at her if I continue to
Right.
follow her.
Yeah, there's a slew of things that could go wrong.
So I just said a quick prayer as I exited the freeway, and I was like, God, just be with this woman. I don't know what she needs, but I was not a very kind person to her.
And God, make my day horrible just so I can pay some sort of penance for.
Right. I felt horrible. Like, how dare I? Like, I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
So I guess that situation just served as a reminder again that I never know what somebody is going through in my day-to-day interactions, and it's just so important to be kind,
Yeah.
even in the moments where you don't want to be. I mean, that is one of the most annoying things ever in my book, is somebody driving below the speed limit in the passing lane. But
Well,
I gotta
yeah.
let go of myself.
Yeah,
a
I
little
mean,
bit.
wait. Let's face it. Anyone in a U-Haul, you already get down a notch because
Yeah.
you basically can get those trucks without any training. You can even get the big ass one.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, not that it's hard to drive, but I mean, if you're driving a Civic for your whole life and you get in a U-Haul, but rule number one, you stay in the right lane. If you want to do
Yes.
55, I came home from up north and I did 70. The speed limit 75. I didn't want to engage with people. I just stayed in the right lane.
Yeah.
Like I just was like stress free.
Cruising home.
Right. But I appreciate you bringing up. It's that's why I love this podcast, and I think people do, because we bring up the shitty stuff. We
Yeah.
bring up like I was a terrible person today, and I do that for two reasons. One, because it makes me feel better that I'm not the only one, and
Yes.
two, I think it's a good way to process through of what happened.
Yeah.
When you talk out loud with somebody else, but. See, I like not telling us our stuff like that because you didn't tell me about the U-Haul lady.
It's true.
I
And you
didn't
didn't even
ask.
give me a hard time about it either.
No, I was like, oh, this is going to be a good story for the show. But
Nice.
anyways.
Well done.
So real quick before Ben transitioned to our faith segment, again, we talked about the last time, which was a couple episodes ago, but we're going to kind of transition our show into three areas. And it doesn't mean each show will have these areas. But we're going to focus on mental health, which we have, faith, and then things that make us uncomfortable, conversations or stories that are just like, we need to process through it. But we could have people, we're coming up, or our faith segment, we're having
Yes.
interviews. So
Yeah.
it's all going to be based on that. Just because I think we need to hone in on what we're super passionate about.
Yeah.
And I know things that make us uncomfortable is a broad thing, but I think that's what we're good at.
Exactly.
Personally, I mean, tooting our own horn.
Yeah.
Um,
And I had the thought of we should have a parenting bucket, but then I was like, we really don't need a parenting bucket because parenting comes up in those three pretty naturally.
yeah, and I feel like if we need a parenting bucket, we just need to start a new podcast.
right.
And like, there's not a million of those parenting
Seriously.
ones, which some of them are great.
Yeah,
Some of them are great.
absolutely.
But, we don't typically talk a lot about our kids. I mean, we do briefly, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's all right.
I mean, we could throw that in things that make us uncomfortable, like if
Exactly.
the baby like shits her pants and wipes it on the wall. We don't have a baby, but I mean, if we did, that would fall into that uncomfortable conversation.
Yes, it sure would. Just like having a conversation with your daughter about your cat that's in not good health and
Yeah.
on the decline. Yeah, that's gonna happen soon. But anyway. Well, we're gonna jump from that unhappy note into the faith bucket. Jason and I are both people of faith, and what I think is cool is I think we have different ways of living out or maybe showing our faith.
Yeah.
For me, I come from a background of being in full-time ministry, and I still, I'm not super active in a paid way, but I still find ways to be involved in ministry, whether that's serving on the board of Urban Transformation Ministries or, I've filled various roles at my church before COVID. So it's something that's a little bit more active for me versus, I think for you, well, it's certainly active. It just looks different. It's more your everyday encounters with people and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I mean, I definitely feel I could be more active in the church community. I do help with, production and stuff, but you're not touching anybody doing that, not literally, but you know what I mean? Like spiritually or stuff like that.
But the work that you're doing is enabling that
True.
to be done.
Yeah.
So-
No, I don't look at it as like poo-poo, but I do. I think you're just much more comfortable with talking to others about your faith
Yeah, I think that's
more
fair.
than me, and I'm okay with that. I mean, it's something I need to work on, but it's tough now. Like with this COVID, our church is starting in church, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. but it's a whole reservation system and yada yada yada.
It's
so
crazy.
But thankfully, we are starting our live stream this Sunday. I'm actually part of that.
Nice.
So we're not ready to go back as a family. I don't think it's just going to be weird. And then with masks on, I'm pro mask. Don't get me wrong, but at church, like singing, I don't know, and not having the normal people around you. It's just maybe I'm being bougie.
No, I feel very similarly.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm excited for the live stream, and like we've stopped watching Pastor Terry's sermons. Sorry, we're digressing, but just because it's just weird. It's not like in the moment.
Yeah.
But
it is weird.
But so now church will be like, hey, church is at 10 o'clock. The live stream starts then. You'll see people in church, the singing, yada yada. So
yeah,
looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
So tell us about what we got in our faith bucket today.
So we've got a couple of things, couple stories. The first one, we do have a video that we will show a portion of. I really struggled with this video, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts. But what this video is essentially it's a Christian Trump rally, like a Trump church service, and yeah, it really kind of rubbed me the wrong way in a lot of ways. And so yeah, with that, we'll just kind of play the video. And
it's 9 minutes. We're not going to play it all. I'm going to play it. I might end it abruptly, or Ben's going to give me the nod because yeah. So we're going to play that, and then we'll talk about it because I have some thoughts.
You are America's hope. You are America's eyes. You're prophets to a generation. Rise up and prophesy, house of God. Rise up.
Unfortunately, we'll have to explain some of this because there's a lot of typing on there that our audio listeners didn't hear. But Jesus is coming. Get right or get left.
Y'all here? Y'all look good tonight.
We want to thank you for joining us at our first Evangelical for Trump 2020 rally. Your trendsetters right here.
His body was broken for our transgressions.
Tonight is a night of praise, prayer, and patriotism.
You don't have to check your mental acumen when you walk through the door of the sanctuary.
You're going to get inspired. You're going to get enthused. You're going to walk out of here charged and energized in body, mind, soul, and spirit tonight.
They thought Hillary would win by a landslide, but they underestimated God. I thought politics was for the big guys up there, for the real smart ones. God is doing something. There's an uprising, there's a true movement of God, and God is really moving. I mean, this is such a God thing.
Oh, I believe God's getting ready to do something. Fasten on your seatbelts.
Some people say, well, could you just keep politics out of church and just preach the Bible?
Alrighty then.
I think that's enough.
Alrighty then.
And we'll put a link in our notes, more than likely, or we'll share it on social. That's such a tough statement to say.
Share it on social.
Yes.
Social.
So,
Well, first of all, before we get into it, Ben and I have a disagreement on like patriotism in the church.
Yes.
So we'll kind of touch on that, but I'll give my 2 cents. It's a little weird. Was that blonde lady? Isn't she part of the Trump religious?
yes.
What do they call it? Advisor?
Yep, she's like the advisor to the president.
Yeah, she's a little cuckoo bananas.
A little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wonder though if we look back on other presidents, especially on the right-leaning side, if those kind of things happened with them too. And it's just Trump is such a hostile person, or just a hot topic, that it's getting put on. But basically, it was about 500 Trump supporters, and they just was kind of mixing church and Trump. I'm not for that. I mean, but I think, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't have a problem with having an American flag in a church. And Ben, I mean, he rides and dies on having that out. Now, again, there's been a couple issues where the national anthem was played in church before church. I mean, that's a little weird. But
Yeah.
but having a flag, I guess Ben's biggest issue was the American flag was on top of the what is their
The Christian flag.
and he was bummed about that. And I don't know, it's just weird. But I see you're feverishly Googling something, so
No,
I'm trying to
just
stall for
pull up
time.
something that I shared earlier today.
Oh,
Actually.
okay.
Um,
I try to ignore your posts. You post way too damn much on Facebook. I'm just kidding.
I have an audience to.
I know you love it.
I love attention. Yeah. Okay, so this is a quote from Bernice King, who draws her lineage to. I want to make sure I get this right before I say it.
Bernice King is the advisor.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Bernice King is the youngest child of Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King. So MLK Jr., I Have a Dream speech. This is their daughter. She's incredible, first of all. If you need a voice that speaks unashamed about faith, politics, Black lives, etc., certainly look her up. Bernice King. But she says this: Christ is not American. The church that follows Christ is global. Churches in the U.S. should not be embassies for America, but for the kingdom of God. The national anthem is not a gospel song, and the nationalistic rhetoric of America first is contrary to Christ. So I guess my issues with patriotism in church is when we gather as a body, we are there to be united under one cause, and that is Christ. Anything else is to be secondary to that.
Which I agree.
So when you start mixing politics, a president, anything, I mean, if anything creeps in the way, it becomes an idol. And I see that Trump rally as kind of a big moment of idolatry. It's like you are making an idol out of Trump, out of the presidency, out of politics. Like, Christ is supposed to be so much more beyond those things, and yet we dumb it down and make our faith be about politics. I just really struggle with
But
that.
I challenge you to sit in that service and listen to it and break it apart. Like, I didn't either. We just saw 3 or 4 minutes of it, and that's, and they're only going to show what they want to show. But
exactly.
I would challenge you to be like, was this a Trump rally, or was this people that support Trump being, swept up by the gospel? I don't know. Like, I would have to hear the whole service.
If I'm correct in my understanding, it was put on as a Evangelicals for Trump
Okay.
event. Like
Okay.
a rally. Like, that was the whole purpose.
But were those people part of that church, or were they?
No, the church hosted this event.
The church hosted it. Okay.
So it's not really even a church service. It's a rally, but they've intermingled faith and politics and...
Yeah, I get that it's weird, but don't you think I mean, we need Jesus in politics for good.
True.
I mean, me personally, if you're a person of faith, wouldn't you want a person of faith being your representative for your area? Oh,
Yes, but is Trump that?
I'm not saying this is just a general question.
In general, yeah.
No, Trump is not that.
I would absolutely want governmental leaders to have some sort of faith basis that they're operating from.
Yeah, but that's not Trump.
That's not Trump. And
But it's not been any of our presidents. I mean, hey, I'm
I
not
was I'll be honest. I was a real big George W. fan.
okay.
I mean, I still think that guy is solid. I miss him. I don't know. I don't think I was old enough to. I can't remember. But no. So I'm not like this crazy liberal Democrat person by any means.
No.
But I just think it's lunacy. That whole video, like that was.
It was weird.
It was very weird.
I'm not gonna lie, it was weird. I would be extremely uncomfortable. As much as we talk about changing churches, I would be extremely uncomfortable, more uncomfortable than going to like just some random church anywhere.
Yeah.
I would just be like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. And I guess what concerns me is they have made Trump and they have made America the end all be all of their faith. Like that's when they think of faith and Christianity, that's what they're thinking of. And I think it's just such a short-sighted view of what our faith should be about, because the church is not American. The church is global.
I agree.
God is not just interested in blessing America, but God bless South Africa. God bless Mexico. Like,
Yeah.
we have married this idea of God's goodness to Americanism.
But we're here. Like if you were in Mexico or South Africa, I think you'd find the same thing. I mean,
I don't know.
half our shit says "In God We Trust," like for all our all that stuff.
All the coins that are now in shortage.
Right, like all that stuff. So it's like this weird, I don't think it should be part of it, but we've already introduced God into our American way of life. So I get what you're saying. I'm just challenging it a little bit. I don't think it's a black or white thing. I don't
It's
think
not.
it's a gray area.
It is. And
But-
this is something that I am really excited to bring up. We're going to revisit this, I'm sure, in some form or fashion when we talk with Julian Newman next week.
Is that next week already?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited about that too, because I've wanted a pastor on to ask some crazy questions.
Yeah.
Like we talk about sin all the time and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much tapped out on that
I
thing.
know,
It's weird. I totally agree. It's weird. Watch the video though, and I think I'm gonna watch the full thing. And 9 minutes for a video for me is like an eternity. I'm so bougie.
Squirrel.
Yeah, like if it's a YouTube video over 90 seconds, I mean, I'm sorry.
Nice.
But let's talk about the next article.
Yeah, so this next article here, God TV, which is a ministry that is essentially based in the United Kingdom. However, they also have sites all over the globe, and I guess their broadcasting license is in Florida. So they recently started a station in Israel, and Israel being the birthplace of Christianity, really, I mean, kind of the crux of our faith. Israel has come and said they need to stop broadcasting, essentially because when they applied for their license, it was understood that they were going to be serving a Christian audience. However, the officials in Israel are now saying that God TV is trying to persuade Jews with the gospel of Jesus, and that is contrary to what was essentially put in the application papers. So it's just a lot of irony here. I don't know. Just the fact that, again, we're the birthplace of Christianity and so many integral moments for the church started in Israel, and they're essentially ordering God TV off the air. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have trouble figuring out what the war is going on between the Palestinians. Excuse me. That wasn't even a burp. It was like a hair or something.
Wow.
I did just get my hair cut. Palestinians and what is the other? I'm so terrible. What do you call Israelites? I don't know.
Yeah.
The
we'll go
the
with
war.
that.
What is the war over there? Like some are Gentiles, some are Jew. Is that what the issue is? I know I'm kind of jumping off what this is about, but it kind of has to do with.
Well, yeah. I mean,
am I in the
there's-
weeds here?
You're kind of getting in the weeds, but that's okay. But essentially, with this story, you have the two audiences. There are those who are of Christian faith, and they are Jewish. They call them the Messianic Jews, Jews that
Oh.
believe in Jesus. essentially.
Interesting.
So there are those, and then there are the Jews who see Jesus differently than Christians as far as who he is and the salvation that he brought. The major Jewish groups reject the idea that Jesus was Messiah. So those are the two main camps. You've got strictly Christians who live in Israel, and then you've got Jews that believe in Jesus, and then you have Jews that are strictly Jewish, and they don't agree with the Christian view of Jesus. So that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's not a move with war, because I know they actually like shoot each other, but it's like kind of a chess move without weapons.
Yeah,
I guess.
It really is. I mean, it's essentially taking off the air one of the avenues that Christians have been using to spread the gospel.
Yeah, that's super frustrating, especially it looks like it reaches like 300 million around the world.
Yes.
Which is insane. Yeah, I mean, that's the government, man. I mean, we're dealing with government stuff here too, with the whole COVID and mask and orders and all that stuff. It's just, it's one of those things that I am way out of my league to talk about, to be honest with you. So I was hoping you would bring it around home, which you did, as usual.
But one other point that this article mentions is the fact that since assuming office, Trump has moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem and recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Syrian Golan Heights and drawn up a peace plan for the region that Palestinians have rejected as skewed towards Israel. The Trump administration has said it believes the plan meets both Israel's and the Palestinians' fundamental demands. So I guess that is one positive thing Trump has been about, and I'll give him that, is trying to push for Israel's rightful state in the world. And there has been a lot of pushback on that. So, but yeah, I just thought it was a really curious, I guess, thing that happened. I had to go looking for this article. It's not like it just popped out at me.
Yeah, I mean,
I was looking for stories about faith to fill that bucket, and I saw this, and it's like, I had no idea that was even a thing. So it just shows
the God TV or getting taken off.
God TV being
I mean, I
to
think
stop
we're not hearing.
broadcasting.
Yeah, we're not hearing much going on there. Usually, they're, like I said, shooting at each other.
Yeah. It's like this is a different form of warfare almost.
I mean, I guess I'd rather have that than bullets, but it's still super, super weird.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what God TV, what their next move is. Sure, they might not be able to broadcast their TV channel over the cable systems, but they could do what we do. They could live stream on other mediums. So I'm curious to see if God TV like pulls out completely, or if they find.
I mean, I'm sure they'll be able to work it out. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's such a volatile thing. You think, we got it so bad over here, and then you think of those things going on. Like we pray and do all that stuff like with religious freedom, like no big deal. Like that's why this country is great. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim or Indian or Christian or Hindu. Like you can do it all, man. We're all cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So interesting. I'm going to jump into the mental health bucket.
The story's awesome. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was like, what?
Looking ahead.
Yeah. So this is one of the buckets we want to talk about. Real quick for me, not much of a therapy update. My therapist is still on maternity leave. I can't wait till she's back, though. I have missed her. I'm not sure if you're still seeing your therapist.
I am every week.
Nice. Things
Digital.
Yeah, things going. Nothing life changing. Just when you guys going to meet? I know Megan is starting to see her therapist in person for the first time last week.
Interesting. Yeah, we've not even talked about it.
Oh man,
So-
I would want to get off that. Sorry, the digital thing.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, if BetterHelp is one of our sponsors, I get it. But I mean, personally, if you're not comfortable going to office, I think BetterHelp's a great alternative.
Yes.
Through COVID, it's a great alternative. But I guess, maybe this is going against our sponsor, but I would much rather see somebody in person.
Yeah,
And
that's fair.
That's just me being unfiltered.
Yeah. You know, it was really hard in the beginning, but as time has gone on, I've kind of warmed up to the idea. I would not say that I prefer this method. I guess I tolerate it. It's still effective. It's
Yeah.
not like, you know, if it wasn't being effective, I think I would just stop doing it and say,
For sure.
call me when you're open.
Right.
But it's been really good. Just again, it's not like anything groundbreaking, but it's just helpful to replay events from the past
Yeah.
week and see things that I missed, or to see how things are connected. And it's just like kind of these, oh, I get it moments.
Yeah, because they can get through your busyness. You're busy with all that, then it brings to light, just like you said, oh, okay, yeah, I get that now.
Yeah. And
So-
for me, the biggest thing is always seeing how those things are connected, like all the different things that happen in a week. So much of them I look at as isolated incidents. And when I stop and pause and look at them with my therapist, it's almost like I see them differently. And I see,
Yeah.
okay, so that's connected to that. And I responded in that way because of fill in the blank. It's
Yes.
just helpful, because then moving forward, I can avoid those U-Haul lady moments on the freeway. So
Here is a picture, and I'll let Ben talk about it. You know, you can look up there too.
I know, sorry.
Oh, yeah. If you were
Oh.
sitting there, you probably could
No,
see.
I was just looking at our comments.
Oh yeah, I have to have a talk with them. I hid both those comments. I mean, come on, let's be mature. This is not a dicks and boobs podcast.
Right.
Go to Eric Zane for that one.
Seriously, you know where to go. But no, this picture here, not in our Facebook comments and not muted. So we all get those text messages confirming appointments.
Which I love.
Absolutely.
I get annoyed when companies don't do that and they call me.
Right?
I'm like, I'm gonna send you to voicemail. I mean, I know what you're doing.
Seriously.
Anyways.
Yes. So this guy received one of those texts. It appears by all intents and purposes to be an automated message.
Yeah.
So he said, the text says, from Behavioral Health Education Services, Justin has an appointment with Dr. Marshall on Monday at 12:45 p.m. Reply to confirm date and time. So Justin replies, pee pee poo poo. To which the office replies, Justin, this is not an automated message. Should we consider this a confirmation for said time and date? Justin says, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yes, tomorrow at 12:45 works fine.
Well, I got to break that down a little bit. He knew it wasn't I mean, it says reply to confirm date and time. I mean, I don't know. I feel like if it's automated, it says press 1 for yeah. I
Right.
don't know. It just seems a little personal, but it's hilarious that he did that. And honestly, I hope Dr. Marshall actually sent that, who was his doctor, and not like an assistant or something, so
Yes.
they can talk about it. Although I'm sure they will anyways. But oh, that's funny. I mean, text messages has gotten me into some trouble too.
No kidding.
That's great. And a little chuckle about mental health, and as we jump into the next story about mental health. I can take this one. One
Go
of the
for it.
things that faces people with mental health is when they leave the home.
Mhm.
When they become teenagers, and it's just, they call it the cliff, a cutoff at which teens with mental health condition are flung into adulthood, often without preparation for challenging to care ahead. It says young adults are among the most at risk of major mental illness, but among the least likely to get mental health, which is a huge problem. We'll obviously post this link, but it's a good thing to bring up. I never really thought about that, but if they
Yeah.
go on their own,
Or if they go to college in a different state.
yeah, I mean, if they've created this environment with a therapist here and they go,
Yeah.
across the country to somewhere else, they
or
might.
even if you go to a city over. I mean,
Yeah, it's true.
you're
mean,
a
if-
college student.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, most college students, and now I think not just college students, can be on their parents' insurance until they're 26,
Yeah.
which is a little ridiculous to me.
Kinda,
But
yeah.
I can see if you have a big boy job, you should be on your own insurance. I mean, I shouldn't have to cover you anyways. But no, I can see how this can be a huge problem. And I think that's why it's so important as, you know, maybe your teenager is receiving some mental health care, that you talk about, prepare them for going to college or going off, saying, listen, this is an important issue. You shouldn't just drop off.
Yes. Yeah, I was talking with my wife, who is a therapist. At least she was for a time. Now she's more social worker in an emergency room situation. But at any rate, I asked her, it was like, have you heard of this? She was like, not addressed in that way, but that makes a lot of sense. So
yeah, it does. I never thought about that, but I'm sure it's a hot topic. It just doesn't make it in the news much. So that's a really nice pull.
So when you hear stories of suicide being really high among young people, I think that's a contributing factor. The fact that they get established with a pediatric therapist through their parents' insurance or whatever else, and then because life changes, they graduate high school, move out of the house, go to college. I mean, this whole slew of things could happen. And one of the details that gets overlooked is their mental health. And where do they go?
I think another issue may be that they weren't seeing a therapist but don't have their parents around them to see, like, ooh, you are not acting right. Like, maybe they're living with roommates, but, you know, Megan lived with people she didn't even know, you know, who went to school. So it's like, they're not going to really look after you. So I could see that being a problem too, before you're kind of an adult and, you know, where people would actually say to you, hey man, you know, what's up?
Yeah.
You know, are you okay? So it's really something that you should think about as your high teen, you know, low 20 kids are heading out on their own.
Yeah, if you have kids that age, or if you're that age, or if you have friends, I mean, pay attention to your mental health. It's super important. And that's a great segue for our sponsor. If you're in a transition phase, that's an ideal fit for
that's
BetterHelp.
true.
Like if you're switching to school, or you're moving out, or changing jobs, if you're in between, BetterHelp is a great resource to reach out to.
Yeah, that's betterhelp.com/threads.
Yeah, 10% off your first month.
Yeah. What I like about BetterHelp too is they offer the texting, which I don't think is a huge way to connect, but a lot of millennials and zennials now or whatever
they are.
they connect that way, and that's a good stepping stone before you get into like full-fledged therapy. So
yes, for sure.
So this video is super cool. Ben, why don't you explain it and I will prepare it.
Yeah, so this video I found while I was looking for mental health stories. One thing that I'm feeling a little bit, I don't know if convicted is the right word, but I feel like so often on our show, it's not like I'm intentionally doing this, but I feel like so many of the stories we share are white people, or people that look like us. And I think that's because we're white guys, and that's just kind of our frame of reference. So I'm trying to challenge myself in a number of ways on this podcast and anywhere else to just really try to expand my horizons and make sure that I'm giving ear to stories from people who don't look like me, making sure that I'm surrounding myself with people who don't look like me, and really understanding and learning what their life is like. I just think it's super important for me. So when I saw this story, it was like, wow, I would have never thought of a barbershop as being a place of healing.
Yeah.
But for many in the Black community, that's exactly what it is. So this video is just kind of a really awesome summary of one guy's mission to bring mental health to the hood, essentially.
Mental health in the Black community has been a problem for decades. A lot of that plays into the stigma about mental health and the reason why people are not going to get the help that's necessary. Barbershops are a safe place for young men of color. Barbers are our only people in our lives that we're allowed to get close proximity with us with a razor. We realize that barbers become our friends, and that's really important because I can use that same space to work with barbers to talk about our mental health. My name is Lorenzo Lewis, and I am the founder and CEO of the Confess Project. The Confess Project is a national grassroots movement that is geared around building a dialogue of mental health for young men of color. I had a lot of problems as a young person. My mother was incarcerated when I was born into this world, and losing my dad at the age of 10, I didn't know how to deal with it. I would go to this beauty salon every day after school, and there was a barber there, and I never forget, a lot of the nurturing care that I got from him really empowered me to want to do better, really wanted to empower me to do good in school. I realized that I'm not the only one struggling. Suicide is the third leading cause of death for young men of color between the ages of 18 and 24. And a lot of this plays into communities where there are a lot of violence and toxic masculinity. So the barbershop was a perfect place to start the Confess Project. I walk into a barbershop and ask them if I can have a moment of their time. And then that moment turns into an educational session.
Thank you all for being here today. I think the most important part of why I really came here today is to really so that I can exhibit to you all how we can break through our pain and how that part of that being our purpose.
Our goal is to not train barbers to be mental health experts, but to train them to be mental health advocates. We're training them with the skills of active listening, communication, validation, to not be judgmental, to be sensitive with language so that their clients can be able to open up and possibly go and get some help and treatment that may be necessary.
I've always been feeling in a depressed state, and I never knew why. I still don't know why.
To be completely honest, it was the first time I've ever heard a black man talk about his struggles with mental health or his emotions with feeling like he's low, feeling like he's in that hole that he can't get out of. And that's a feeling that I felt before growing up. It's a feeling that I felt often, and it's a feeling that I was feeling in that time that I came to hear it.
I thought it was very powerful, seeing black men coming together, hugging and sharing that valuable moment together. And you could see it in their eyes and in their emotion.
Since starting the Confess Project, we have now expanded to 9 U.S. cities across the southern and Midwest region. It's really important to keep that momentum going. We realize that we still have a lot of work to do, and it's one of those things where we have to create leaders and build a generation of leaders so that they can be sustained and also go out and help many more community members that we may not reach. What I specifically love about my job is that I get to work with that side of me that I wasn't able to get that same help with, and help young men of color to really thrive and to really become the best version of who they are.
What did you say oops for?
I just got a notification that Great Big Story blocked your video because it may contain
Oh.
content they own.
Yeah, I did too, which is interesting. I just said continue live stream.
Yeah.
I don't ever understand that. I mean, I get it if we're monetized and we're making money, but they do have like 5.5 million subscribers on YouTube, so they are pretty big.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Anyway, I mean, it is what it is. But
I wonder if it's going to like block out the video like
Probably.
the whole time. Whatever.
knows?
Who cares? So that was great. I actually reached out to Lorenzo tonight.
Oh, really?
Sent him an email. Haven't got anything back. Actually, it was to a media inquiry, so they were
Okay.
kind of bigger than I thought it would be more grassroots, but looks like they have like interview requests. So I sent it out to those people.
Awesome.
So I'd love to give him on maybe 15, 20 minutes and just talk about his story, and which we kind of, obviously just watched a little bit, but
Yeah.
I want to talk to him more.
Absolutely.
I think that would be great.
For sure.
What's your thoughts on that, especially having a black daughter and trying to be introduce her to black culture, which is fair.
Yeah, and that's one thing I cannot wait. I know I'm bringing it up again, but I'm super excited that Julian agreed to come on our show.
Yeah.
This guy's amazing. But that is one of the things I want to talk to him about is it's tough being a white family raising a black daughter. It's almost like there's this pull between black culture and our culture. And that's why I'm so passionate about, well, let's mix them. Like, we can do both. Like, you don't have to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
But for our daughter, I feel like she feels this pull to pick one or the other. And there was about a year span where she refused to go get her hair cut. not cut, but styled. And, you know, up until then, we had been taking her places to do her hair. And then she just kind of didn't want to do it anymore. And she also, at the same time, decided to drop out of dance, which was a great program with people who looked like her. So this kind of brought up a lot of feelings because it's kind of our life.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just something special, I would even say sacred, for Black culture about the barbershop or the beauty salon. Like, Andy takes Miracle, and recently Miracle agreed to go and have her hair done, and it looked amazing. And she's got another appointment coming up soon, but it takes hours for the style that Miracle gets. And that's hours of time where the stylist is pouring into our daughter and giving her positive messages. And it's incredible. It's so needed. So for me, going to get a haircut, it's just kind of like this thing of, I just gotta go.
Get her done.
Frankly, I don't like conversations with the stylist. Like, I just don't like talking. I just like cut my hair and let me loose.
Well, I feel like I have a couple of things. I mean, it's really good. For some reason in the Black community, that kind of the hair thing is like super, you know, the style is super important and they connect with them. But like you said, and us being white, it never is like you go in there. But why don't you just tell your stylist? Like, do you go to the same person?
No, it's usually one of 3 people.
So why don't you just say, hey, man, I'm good on conversation. If you could just cut my hair, that would be great.
I just feel so, I don't know.
But
I feel like that's rude.
But it might be refreshing to her because she might be like, oh, I got to talk to this son of a bitch again. Not you, but just like, oh, I hate my life. I got to ask these mundane questions. But how refreshing would it be, like, not to be rude, but like, I don't really want to talk about it. Talk about anything. I just want to get my hair cut. And
one thing I have noticed, before I would take my hearing aids out in the car and leave them in the car. So I can't hear hardly when a stylist, if the gal's talking really quietly, I can't hear her over the buzz and all the noise in there. So I started taking them out as I was sitting in the chair. And I definitely noticed a decrease in engagement.
Well, yeah, but there's the introvert way of not getting them to talk instead of just having a conversation. I talk a big game, but
so I just take my hearing aids out and I think they get it. So they have not been talking as much. So there's not as much small talk. And when they do talk, I've noticed, especially one of them will speak up so that I can
they're not
actually
dumb.
hear.
They'd see that you're freaking deaf.
Thanks.
Anyways.
Appreciate that.
Well, that was a good story. I hope to get Lorenzo on the podcast. That definitely falls into, you know, mental health bucket. And that would be a great episode.
Absolutely. I think it's awesome that you reached out. Yeah. I didn't know you did that.
Yeah. I watched the video because I pre-watched that one. I couldn't barely get through the Trump one. And I was like, this is cool. This guy's badass. Like, I want to talk to him so much. So
awesome. Well, the last bucket we have for tonight, and it's a pretty quick one tonight, but we like to just create space where we can talk about uncomfortable things. Whether that's, you know, the U-Haul lady story that I shared, the Trump video, it kind of runs through the other buckets, but sometimes it's just fun to take a look at some situations that actually happened and try to think of how we would react if we were there. So I've got 2 stories. Coincidentally, they both involve boating or fishing in some way. So the first story comes to us out of Alabama. There was a scuba diver, and I guess the standard is when you go scuba diving in open water, you leave the boat and you put a flag up so people know you're diving.
In the area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that way people will kind of leave you alone and won't go fishing in that area. Well, for whatever reason, somebody didn't see the flag. Maybe the flag fell over. I don't know. And they started fishing in this area. Hooked one of the divers, started reeling him into the surface of the water.
Oh my gosh.
Like, what? So first of all, imagine if you are the fisherman and you think you've got this prize fish.
I mean, yeah, the guy's probably 150 pounds and he's got all the gear on, so he's probably over 200.
And it wasn't just one hook. Like, one hook got him, like, near his face, I guess. He
Oh.
was able to get that one out. But then he got hooked on some of his equipment.
Gear, okay.
And so they started reeling him up and got him to the surface. How awkward would that be for the fisherman?
I mean, or like, did I just kill a guy?
Yeah. And so once the fisherman realized his error, and the hook was off of the scuba diver, there was no conversation.
Yeah, it said the boat left without ever making contact with the divers. I'm like,
how rude.
Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's like a hit and run in the streets.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, oh, shit, I might have killed this guy.
Right? Wow.
Is that your phone? Rookie. Do you need to take that?
No, that was an alarm. I don't even know what for.
Take your pills?
Maybe.
I mean, it's at 8:12. That's such a weird time to have an alarm. Time for bed?
Must be. All right, good night.
Talk about uncomfortable.
But yeah, so there was no conversation that happened, but can you imagine how awkward that would be if there was a conversation?
Yeah, that would be super awkward. Like, hey, so, I mean, it's kind of on the fisherman. Like, you saw the flag up.
Yeah, if
like,
you were a fisherman, would you have a conversation with the guy you just reeled in?
I think I would. I would be so apologetic. And, like, what if he needed help? If he didn't have his buddy with him?
Right.
Like, what if he was bleeding out? Like, yeah, you screwed up, but you don't want to end somebody's life.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that fisherman was an idiot anyways.
Yeah.
But
I'm ashamed to say this, but I think there would be a part of me that would want to just take off.
Yeah, because no one's gonna find you,
right?
I mean, you it's fine. I mean, I think I would too, but in that fleeting moment, I'm like, okay, I'm not a psycho. I may have hurt somebody.
I better stay put.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyway, crazy story. I saw that on Facebook. One of my fisherman buddies posted it, and I was like, this has got to be satire. Nope.
It wasn't from
actually
The
happened.
Onion or Babylon.com.
Nope. And then the next one was from close to home here. Let's pull that up. This was earlier in June, towards the end of the month, in Marquette County. So a kid is on a boat with his parents, and on Memorial Day weekend, and there's a DNR officer, Department of Natural Resources officer, who noticed that the kid caught a pretty great fish, and it was a small walleye. So the DNR officer, just being friendly, comes over to congratulate them. The kid...
When you heard me breathing heavy, I had just read the punchline.
The kid excitedly exclaimed, "Mommy and Daddy don't have life jackets." So once that was discovered, the DNR officer, who was not even there because of the life jackets, he was there to congratulate the kid, he then wrote up a citation for the parents for not having personal flotation devices for themselves. So yeah, talk about an awkward conversation. So my question for you is, if you're the parents, do you discipline the kid?
Oh, you beat their ass right in front of the DNR officer. You say you're dead. No, you don't, because clearly they had a conversation before they went out in the water, and maybe he overheard it, but just saying, the husband probably said to the wife, "Oh shoot, I forgot the life jackets, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
But this is where, I hate the person that actually came up to this phrase, and I'm not going to mention them, but the kids say the darndest thing. You know what I mean? Because they're just kids. Like, there's no filter there. No, I would not discipline. I would say, yeah, you probably shouldn't have said that because we got a ticket, but you're right. We should have life jackets on here.
Yeah.
It's funny. We were up north over the weekend, and the day before, the sheriff was actually on the lake that the cabin's on.
Really?
And it's a small lake.
Yeah.
And come to find out, we realized we weren't on the lake at that time, but we had no life jacket. We had not put them in yet for the year. So we scrambled to go get them. But, Yeah, that's uncomfortable for everyone involved. I like that he wrote him up because boater safety is an issue.
It is.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it can be so. I mean, you're not on land. Like that thing goes down, you're screwed.
Yeah.
But I feel like also I wish he kind of would have just said, "This is so funny. I can't write you a ticket for this. Just please put life jackets on your
Right.
boat." So that was great.
Yes. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. We'll do one question.
Yeah, we're at
apiece.
107.
Yeah. So we'll start slowing this thing down. One of the things we like to do is the unfiltered finale. This is something that we're kind of toying around with a little bit. It used to be we shared about a connection. Actually, it started as we would share about a flub as our ending
Finnell,
moment.
and I'm like, Ben, I had to bring him down from the ledge. I'm like, Ben, we can't end the show on all the time on negativity. Like,
true.
Some sort of positivity would be great.
Right. So I figured, okay, fine, I agree. So then we shifted gears to a connection that we formed, and then COVID happened, and it's like you can only talk so much about that because you don't have a whole lot of new connections being formed.
No.
So we kind of made it a kind of whatever I think of in the moment. We've done Ask Me Anything. Well, today we're going to throw it back old school a little bit. On the first 10 episodes, we played a game called the Ungame, and it's essentially a deck of cards with questions. And we pick one, and we read the question, and the other person answers. So that's the gist of it. And this will be our closing little shindig. You want to go first?
Yes, I will go first. I will ask you a question. Say something about resentment. I know. While you're thinking about that, I just want to throw it out there. We're almost at 10,000 downloads. I just checked our stats, and we're like 55 away. So that's such a huge milestone.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with resentment. These are tough, man.
They are.
I actually looked at the other one, and it was such a softball for you. I was like, I shouldn't have said that now. Now you're going to give me a hard one.
No, resentment. I heard a quote, and when I think of resentment, I think of unforgiveness.
Yes.
Just choosing not to let go of something and just holding a grudge. That's what comes to mind when I think of resentment. And there's this quote that I heard that's so good. It's unforgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping somebody else dies.
Yeah, I mean,
that's really what it boils down to. It's like when you hold resentment or unforgiveness, it's like you're drinking, that's poison.
Yeah.
But you're hoping that poison's going to kill somebody else.
Well, the person you have resentment towards.
Yeah. But it ends up killing you.
Because it just eats you alive.
Yeah. And so that's, I guess, what I have to say about resentment is you got to deal with that shit. Like it'll haunt you, and you just have to find a way to work through it and let go of whatever it is you're holding against that person.
As a Christian, have you ever had a situation, or not opportunity, that's definitely not an opportunity, where you're like, I don't know if I can forgive this person for what they did? I mean, obviously, other than like if you were like physically assaulted or whatever, but I mean, just something that you just felt so betrayed that you were just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've brought some up, and I'm just not thinking of
No.
them. We don't have to go into a long discussion. I'm just curious.
Well, I think there was some resentment that I felt towards a specific caseworker in Oregon that had kind of led us on to believe that we were, we're going to be fine in this appeal process for adopting these kids. Don't worry about it. She was a person of faith herself, and she's just like painting this picture for us of how there's nothing to worry about. And then the rug was pulled from underneath us, and the kids had to leave. Like,
what a perfect example of resentment, because I'm sure it went on for a bit.
Oh, yeah. And so that was one person that I just, I don't have contact with her anymore, and I haven't had contact with her. But the fact that I was holding resentment towards her, it was really bringing me down and preventing me from getting over the shock and the pain of everything that happened, by me holding on to that resentment and holding it against her was keeping me from truly being free from that terrible situation. So
that's a perfect example.
I did have come to a point where I was like, all right, I'm not going to hold this against her.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put my energy into all this negativity. It sucks and it is what it is. Nothing I can do about it now. So let's just move on.
Especially in that situation, because you're like, yeah, just like you said, there's nothing you can do. Like, nothing can be changed. It's always hard when there might be a little glimmer and you're just like, you just can't let it go. And then you try for that glimmer and you keep fighting for it. But you know this person over here caused the issue, and it's still like, it's tough to let go.
It was.
All right, give it to me, big boy.
All right. How do you want to spend the last year of your life?
Oh, man. That's kind of a softball. I mean, obviously.
Want the other question?
No, God, no. God, no. You know, it all depends on the life that I'm living at the time of that last year. I mean, is it I just got cancer and I got a year to live? Is it I'm 89 and ready just to take the morphine or whatever? Am I in pain?
Yeah.
Obviously, I hope to be around my kids, and I hope I can't wait to have grandkids. Like,
you're going to be such a fun grandpa.
I cannot wait.
Crazy grandpa.
Crazy. Like, I'm going to get the text from my son, because hopefully he's the first one that has. I'm like, Dad, you can't do that with him. I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. No, I hope to be around that. I hope to have, to pass on a legacy of finance and to my family. But I like the fun part. This is not fun part. If I had a year to live and I was going to die, like right now, if someone said to me,
right, you have 1 year left.
1 year left.
Ooh,
like,
that's a short while.
I think I would do everything that my kids have been wanting to do. Like, my son wants to go see Big Ben. You know, Avery wants to go to New York. I'd be like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, I would live for them. And and just because it's like, all right, man, like, I got a year left. What am I going to, like, am I going to be selfish, or am I going to spend the time doing what everyone else wants to do? And yeah, I'd be high all the time too.
Awesome.
So with that being said, I think it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
You got any closing thoughts?
No, I just want to go back to the fact that you reached out to Lorenzo. I think that's really awesome. So
yeah, I think it'll be a mental health. I think it'll be a uncomfortable conversation bucket. It could be all of those.
It could be. Yeah. So I'm excited about a couple of things as we wrap. We've got the 10K listens coming up soon.
Yes.
We're quickly approaching our 100th episode. And we have, again, on next episode, Julian Newman will be joining us. So certainly look for that. And thanks for joining us on this journey. It's been incredible.
Yeah. Of course, go to threadspodcast.com/merch for merch. You can follow us on all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We try to post engaging things. So if you love it, give it a like, give it a share, give it a retweet. It all makes this go down the road. There's a bug in here. It's around my microphone. I swear I'm going to eat it. So I'm going to let everyone go. Have a good night, y'all. We'll see you soon.